Ladies and gentlemen, we are very pleased and privileged to have on the line master mechanic, journalist and funky drummer, Fuzz Townsend. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. Now, as well as being TV presenter of National Geographic's car S.O.S, together with Tim Shaw, I want to talk to you a little bit about the history of Fuzz, of you, and the things you've done in the past, if that's okay, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, that's cool. Yeah, carry on.
Okay, now, a lot of people have said to me, why Fuzz? And it's all back to school days, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Fuzz was a name that a couple of girls at school gave me because of my fuzzy hair, and I quite like the attention. So while the girls were giving me attention, the boys were laughing at me being called Fuzz. But I was happier with the attention. It was better than getting the mick ripped out of me was worth it, really.
I was going to say I know which side I'd be on. Is it true that your first drum kit came because your mum won a Vauxhall Chevette?
Yeah, that's right. My mum was a chondroplastic, so she was a dwarf, and she won a Vauxhall Chevette in a newspaper competition, and she couldn't drive. She'd never learned to drive, so she took the money option instead, and so I got a treat, which was a drum kit from Woolworths for 45 quid.
45 quid.
Pretty good. I'll tell you what, that was, 45 quid, that seemed like an absolute fortune. And I suppose, really, relatively speaking, it was. But, we got it home in a taxi in a black cab. Also my first ride in a black cab.
And you made your stage debut when you were just 12, playing drums?
Yeah, my stage debut was when I was 12, yeah. Yeah, so in a band called the Cosmic Snails. On my Facebook page, there are pictures of that very gig there.
No. And the other thing I didn't realise was you actually recorded Peel sessions for the BBC Radio 1.
Yeah, did John Peel sessions. Did a couple for a group called Pig Rots back in about 1985, 86. I think I might have done. I've done loads of other radio sessions for Radio 1. I think my last one was probably about 10 years ago. So, I had quite a good run, really.
Yeah, I've been looking at some of the bands that you played in. General Public, Tour of the USA is Ranking Roger. Indie band Pop Will Eat Itself.
Yep.
That's not and Bentley Rhythm Ace, who I think are brilliant, and Nine Inch. Oh, I know. Sorry, you toured with Nine Inch Nails,
I didn't play Nine Inch Nails, but supported them.
That's right.
But yeah, it wouldn't have been bad. Wouldn't have been a bad thing. I'm just a bit of a musical tart. That's what it is. I kind of, I'm not. I don't remain faithful to any one group, and from quite an early age, when it used to be sort of seen as being, if you were in a group, you were in a certain gang kind of thing, and I never thought about that really. I never really went with that kind of philosophy. I just thought, if you're a musician, you play. Yeah. And if you want to play, you play with whoever you can and whoever you want to, and that's what I did.
You actually released a solo track, "Hello Darling," plus 2 albums.
Yeah.
I'm going to play "Hello Darling" in a minute.
Blimey, where do you get that from?
We got a big spade here that we dig quite deep with. Now, all the time that you're doing this, you're also working for the buses.
Well, not all of the time. No, I worked on the buses. I did my apprenticeship from 1980 to 84. Then I did a couple of years, get a bit of experience behind me. Then I left to go and start, being a full-time musician. Then the work ran out as a musician for a while, so I went back to the buses for a couple of years. Then I left again, and ever since then, if I've worked on buses, it's only been for museums.
But you also did a bit of college lecturing as well in around 2004.
Oh God, yeah. I was part-time college lecturer for 3 years. You see, there's a bit of a pattern appearing here, isn't there? I'm just, I kind of get bored.
And then did journalism as well for Practical Classics and became technical editor.
I was a motoring journal for Practical Classics. Basically, I fibbed a little bit on on my CV.
As you do.
You know, they were looking. I was reading the magazine one day, and they were looking for a staff writer, and you know, said they wanted somebody with experience. So I thought that, well, I could embellish my CV a little. So my experience was actually having written a chapter for a local history book on Birmingham music, and my other bit of journalism was that I'd had a letter printed in Buses magazine once, and which is a bit niche, and that was it. But I got in because the editor, I got my interview anyway. The editor had been a fan of Pop Will Eat Itself, so he was intrigued to see why I'd be applying. And then he realised that I was actually a qualified mechanic, and I thought I was going into this bastion of engineering professionalism, and they didn't have a clue. So it was great. I got in there, and they made me technical editor within a few months. So yeah, it was quite. You know, I learned how to write on the job.
So how did you get the jump from being technical editor to actually doing Car S.O.S. at your own garage?
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, that was quite a smooth step, really, in a way. As technical editor, I was responsible for planning all the new projects and stuff like that we were going to do on the magazine. You know, all the project cast. And so I got the people from you know, the photography magazines to come over and film stuff as we were extracting an old crop from a garage or something like that. You know, I'd get them to film it, and I'd just do the presenting kind of thing, and then they'd edit it, put it on YouTube, and that was that. You know, all that stuff's still there. And the TV researchers saw it, got in touch with the magazine. By that time, I'd gone freelance, and they gave them my number. That was it. I just got a phone call one day at home.
What an excellent thing. I mean, I love that program. I think it's brilliant. There are lots of American type programs that do the same thing, but this one is British, and that's what I love.
Well, that's right. Well, it's British. It's largely made in Britain. Although, of course, National Geographic is our parent company. It's an American company. So, we do it in that sort of British way. And I think the same would go for the rest of Europe. Really, you kind of just do your thing. We're not trying to over-present it or anything like that. I mean, you know, I probably wouldn't get a job as a TV presenter doing anything else because I don't think I can gush enough.
True. But then that's what I love about it. It's sort of basic and, you know, dirty hands and things like that. It's wonderful.
Well, that's right. You know, dirty hands is all part of it, and that doesn't go down well in TV land. I don't think anybody in TV land gets dirty hands. Maybe Mary Berry does with a little bit of butter and flour and stuff like that. But you know, it's Mary Berry and me.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Tim never gets his hands dirty, does he? What's it like working with Tim Shaw? I mean, he seems like a complete nutcase and off the rails most of the time.
Tim is exactly as you see him on the telly. He is. You know, he's kind of a wayward soul. if you can imagine, at school there was always a kid who was always naughty, and they'd bunk off school, and then the next thing you'd know, you know, because when you bunk off school, why is it? There's some kids they rag it off school, and then they end up in the playground with their pet dog, disrupting the whole school. I may as well have gone to school and done that. So that's Tim. Tim was the kid who'd end up in the playground with his pet dog, disrupting the whole school.
Brilliant. I mean, I love the handovers because he comes up with these incredible characters that he creates. You know. Yeah.
Well, things just happen, and when you're working with Tim Shaw as well, you know, you've got to be careful. I'm just on my way to meet him now. God only knows what's going to happen this afternoon.
When you go to these places and you find these cars, I mean, obviously somebody contacts you first. Have you ever had to say, "Look, I'm sorry, there's just nothing we can do"?
I've had to say that to several cars that we haven't filmed, So yeah, that does happen. You know, if we get to make another series of car SOS, I'll be heading out in probably 3 or 4 weeks' time to go and sneak around people's garages, and I will have to disappoint a lot of people, which is you know, a sad thing. But you know, we have to sort of balance everything up with you know, whether, you know, with the cars that we do. So we do some really rough ones and some that are not so rough to sort of like get the balance. And so, you know, unfortunately, some people will be a little bit disappointed.
I must admit, when I've looked at some of those cars that you've dragged out of the garages, you know, and you sort of look at them, and there's maybe a chassis, a wing, and half an engine, and you think, how the hell can you do anything with that?
Well, you know, you can rebuild anything. Everything is possible nowadays. The biggest problem is time. Well, two things: time and money. And you know, I would take all the roughest ones on if the production company would let me. But they have a finite amount of the budget that they can actually spend on the cars themselves. So my hands are tied by that budget, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Who pays? And it is the production company.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right. You know, so, you know, we all have to work within those kind of constraints, don't we?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, as well as yourself and Tim, there are some other characters in the programme, not least of which is Workshop Phil, who's wonderful. Where did you find him?
That's right. Where did we find him? Workshop Phil turned up in Series 1, and he was the owner of the Jeep that we used for the pristine shots, which we always do in every show. Tim and I go for a drive in a car that's sort of like already sorted and already restored.
Yeah.
And Phil supplied us with a Jeep. And then when we finished filming the Jeep show, you know, we went back in on the following day to sort of like, you know, start on with the next car. And Phil hadn't gone home. Well, Phil just turned up again. He enjoyed himself so much, and being a retired gentleman, he decided that he was just going to stay. So that's what he did, and he's not gone home since. I mean, you know, poor fella's had a stroke a few years ago, and so, you know, he's battled back to, you know, relative health from that, and he's back driving again. But he still comes in. He was in the workshop 2 days ago. Comes in every Wednesday. And he always has sausage and chips. We have a chat. He comes into the workshop as it's warm enough, and, you know, sits around and gives me sage advice while I'm working on cars. And then that's it. That's Wednesday afternoons.
Brilliant. That's excellent. You're also a passionate supporter of Classic Aware.
Oh, you mean my Classic Friendly?
Yes,
thing,
that's it.
Know, and so, yeah. Well, you know, there's been a trend of late for governments to sort of say, right, okay, well, classic cars are all well looked after. They're all lovely and shiny, so they don't need any safety inspections or anything like that. And I kind of argue that that's not the case. You know, I rarely ever see a fault-free classic car. So you know, why do people think that they're going to be okay? So I started up Classic Friendly initially to offer an examination that was suitable for classic cars, more suited to classic cars than the traditional sort of MOT. And then it kind of grew into a group of garages, grew into a group of garages that are kind of more visible. And then, of course, because there were, you know, more garages, they kind of became a bigger group and able to be something of a buyers group. So it's kind of gone from there. But at the moment, because I've been filming Car S.O.S, I haven't been able to really be very hands-on with it. So my business partner, Lee Reynolds, and our business manager have been Simon Downing, have been busy working on that on my behalf.
One thing I've always thought of with classic cars is the availability of spares.
The availability of spares has never been better.
Really?
And also, now because you've got CNC engineering and CAD design and scanning and all that kind of stuff, it's far easier to get parts made up. So, you know, if there's you know, if there's a car club that caters for a certain type of car, then so, you know, there'll be potentially 10 cars will have the same fault and need the same parts, then it starts becoming sort of economically viable for a number of parts to be made up. So the club will then help to finance, those 10 parts being made and probably build up a stock of another 5 so that when everybody else's car falls to pieces, then they'll be able to buy the spares, and then there'll be a little bit of profit there, and they can invest that into something else. So it's that kind of thing. So it's really not as bad as it once was. And of course, the internet has helped massively, because now you're only a click away from finding out whether or not you can find a part, and whether or not somebody has squirreled one away only to put it on eBay or other auction sites are available. Sort of the previous week, and there you are. You can grab it for yourself. Whereas before, that could have taken months and months of travel and trawling.
I know when you start restoring a car, it can take years. Yet you guys seem to turn it round in weeks. Is that because of the team you have around you?
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, what we do is we organise ourselves pretty well. So when we get a car in, or when we know we're going to do a car, we order up a kit of parts. So it's quite simple. With every car, with any car that you're doing, there are certain things that you're likely to need. So it's brake pipes, any rubber hoses, flexible brake hoses, cooling hoses, brake pads, brake shoes, discs, drums, all those kinds of things, light bulbs, lenses, body seals, for all the doors and all that kind of stuff. So you need those, and then you've got some idea generally of what problems those cars normally face. So you can order up a load of panels and stuff like that, and so you can hit the ground running. It's just organising it well, and having a team who won't give up on anything as well. That's what counts.
Just 2 more things, then I'll let you go. Are you still drumming for the beat?
Am I still drumming for the beat? Yes. So far this year, I've played in New Zealand, Australia, India, and Ireland. And this coming week, I'm off to Germany and to Holland with them.
Brilliant, excellent. You're also honorary president of the Triumph Sports 6 Club, which isn't easy to say.
Oh, well, I'm the honorary president of the Triumph Sports 6 Club, which means that they put my picture on things that they like or that they want to use for me, but they don't really pester me. But I do like little Triumphs and Triumph Sports 6 cars, so I'm the honorary president of the Triumph Sports 6 Club, which I found that a bit weird when they first asked me, but they've not messed about with me much, and they let me get on with it. I'll go and see them at shows.
Excellent. Just one more thing that's just popped into my head. Do you have a favourite one?
What, a favourite car from Car S.O.S?
Yeah.
Okay, right. From Car S.O.S, there are 2 favourites. One is the Austin 12.4 that we did in the first series, and the other one is the AC and Seeker, which we did in Series 4.
Oh, yes.
By far and away, they are far and away my favourite cars that we've done thus far.
Excellent. Well, look, Fuzz, thank you so much for taking time out to talk to me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, that's a pleasure, and I really hope that your listeners don't get too much lovely sunshine and too warm and have too nice a time, sipping pina coladas on beaches and all that kind of stuff, because I know how tough it is for people out there.
It is. It's very tough. It's very, very tough. It's hard. It's a hard life, but somebody's got to do it.
It is. Are you sipping a pina colada as we talk?
No, I got a mojito. I'm all right.
Oh right. Oh, okay. Oh, I do like a mojito as well. I suppose probably. You've got to sort of like mix it up a bit, haven't you?
Oh, you got to vary it just a touch.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
That's cool.
And I look forward to seeing Car S.O.S on telly.
Excellent stuff. I hope you enjoy it. See you later. Take it easy.
And you.
Bye.
Bye now.